When I was younger in high school, I had a fashion blog at the time, and I would just take pictures of myself and dress up in my backyard and just with my digital camera because I would just read fashion magazines and just was inspired. At that time too, I didn't really have the confidence or language to work with other people. I was just in suburbia in Orange County. And then when I went to school, it felt more natural to go to school for photo. That's kind of how I built my relationship with like image making. I think a lot of the things that I've been inspired by since the beginning have actually really stayed the same. It's just the way in which I've been able to articulate my work and myself or understand myself. Like those things have changed, but I think in a way it's like I've always been seeking the same thing or been inspired by similar, works or with similar creative goals for myself. Even in regards to lighting, for instance, like being in the park and seeing the way that the light might change throughout the day. Like I come in with sort of my codes and the things I like and don't like, right? But a lot of it is just responding to the moment, and that feels really exciting. Studio is more about control in a sense, or execute a determined vision. There's of course chance and things that happen in studio, but it's a very different process going into a situation like the park and nature is responding to what the light or scenario might be that day. In some ways, it's honestly not something I think about. Like I think for me, it is a part of who I am, and it's a proud part of who I am. But it's not something that I let lead necessarily my creative process or my relationship to the industry. I think if I did, it would be for me inauthentic or limiting in a way that I wouldn't choose for it to be. I feel fortunate also to be able to work with amazing trans, artists and behind the camera, in front of the camera, and kind of help take part in trans culture or maybe influence what kinds of images of trans people there are out there or what stories we can tell. I have to sit back and think like, okay, well, I guess I don't really have any examples of, trans photographers working in fashion in this way. And it feels like new territory in a sense in that, that I can be one of the people to kind of help, forge that ground in a way. Energy is important. Like I think for me, I like to try to make the set feel as comfortable for everyone. Like for myself, I care a lot about the quality of what I'm there to do. Like I want the images to be as best they can be, but I also don't want to torture myself or anyone else doing it. The more comfortable people are and the more fun people feel like they can have, I think, and with a shared goal, I think that way it's like people feel more creative, and I think you bring out the best in people that way. And for me, in my work, I'm very intentional about it, and I think going into it, I know the kind of lighting I like and don't like and what poses I'm looking for, and I kind of know the image in mind. Not to the point where, I'm like, oh, move your, index finger half an inch this way, because I find that to be, again, a bit too restrictive. You have to create the framework, and then you have to just create all the elements, put all the ingredients for the potion, and then just set all those parts into motion. All kinds of media, culture, things like that. I think, again, as someone who works primarily in fashion, I think fashion is so much about culture and, how we relate to one another and history and things like that. So I think for me, it feels very natural to be informed by those things, to be influenced by those things. I mean, movies play a big part as well. 60s Italian films like Antonioni and Fellini, our friends joke, we say Fellini core about things and the way we dress and things like that. Music plays a huge part for me as well. My dad's a musician, and I grew up in a household where music was always really important. Friends, community, I think all those things play a part. I love video games. I'm obsessed with TikTok as well. Creators like Angel Mommy or Lizzie McGuire I've been fortunate enough to work with, but there's so many people on there. To me, I love that as a portal into these different worlds, and there's so much happening that's so immediate, and I really feel like that's where a lot of culture exists for a lot of people right now, is on TikTok. Yeah, I mean, there's more than a few, I suppose, but these, I guess, stand out for me the most. This one in particular was my first ever cover, so I feel very sentimental about it. This was for interview, obviously, with Finn Wolfhard as our subject, and this was with Dara Styling, who's my bestie. This one too. This one was for Dazed, sometime, I guess, 2021. This is an editorial I did with them, which I love. I feel like people really love this. So I find myself referencing it quite a bit, but this was, yeah, a good old-fashioned story, and I got to work with Patty Wilson on it, who I greatly admire and love, and she's, you know, someone I've worked with, you know, since then as well, and can consider a friend, and yeah, it was just really inspiring. And then, of course, we have the ASC GQ cover, which was very surreal, still very strange to think about that. This is something I did. This was a very interesting project, very cool to do. It's interesting that you can do projects that you really feel yourself immersed in, so to be able to like go to a location and, you know, again, with working with like a politician, which isn't even something I necessarily thought I would ever do. Have the Dazed cover, which is recent. I mean, I love working with Dazed. They've always been very supportive, and I, you know, love the vision, and it's been really great to continue to work with them and to have this cover moment as well. And this I was able to do with Marcus, my partner, who's a stylist as well. And so that felt really great. And we knew Angel just through kind of living in New York and out and about. But I had met Lulu, like their sibling and partner in crime, and it was nice to be able to work together. You know, I feel lucky for sure. I feel very lucky to have that.